So, I tried what many asked before. Oh, that's my meter. They're using the compressor next door. Burp. Why not use a transformer for your ribbons? Well, the way I use my ribbons, I don't need a transformer, but I wanted to check if there is a benefit for me to do so. For small ribbons, there is most certainly one, because it's impossible to get a decent resistance using it the way I do. Because what I do is create multiple traces. So this is the ribbon. It has multiple traces, not so many, but and here are the magnets. And here on the sides. So you're looking at the front. And I feed, for instance, here is plus, and it goes up, and then I use a thick wire to go down and feed into the next trace, etc, 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 and then we end up with, here we got minus. So this is more like a planar magnetic, but I'm only using the traces going up, and then I have to feed it down somehow. So I use some thick copper wire to not lose too much power in just returning it. Now, when you make a normal ribbon, you got the same magnets, and you got one trace, the ribbon itself. Plus, minus, sorry, minus, whatever. Doesn't really matter, but so it goes up here into your amp again. Now, such a wide trace, no matter how thin foil you use, that's gonna be a problem. In this case, I made a quick one from the 4 micron foil I got from this company. Still have to make a decent tweeter with it. But I thought, you know what, I'm gonna make one real fast and test a transformer design. I know nothing about making transformers. So there we go. I've used many for electrostatics, but never as an impedance matching thing. So there are still a few questions about just some things I just don't know how it works. So yeah, apparently only the turn ratio is enough to have the impedance of 0.4 ohm reflected as something else. Didn't know it was that easy, but okay. Anyhow, I used a calculator, just Google impedance matching transformer ratio or something, or turns ratio. And there you can find a simple method. The core might be too small, might be the wrong material, I don't care. I'm just gonna test this. I made a very quick and dirty one already by using this old 6-volt transformer, and I used the primaries or the secondaries as the primaries, one of them, and then just added a few turns of wire around here for the ribbon. And I measured the impedance, and it gave me like 16 ohms. And then when I just added one more turn, or you know, 2 more turns, you can see it drop. And I wanted to reach 4 ohm. So that works, but of course the whole thing is not made as you would like it to be, because there's a lot of wire there that is not used, so it's far from ideal. So I thought I'll strip it completely, see what that does. So I removed the plasticky insulation thingy, and I do hope they only used tape. By the looks of it, they did, not like glued in stuff and such. It's just tape, I think. So I wonder if I can remove these. By the looks of it, yes. And then I'll leave these and maybe turn it down to the correct amount of turns I need. The amount of turns I went for, the ratio is 3.1 to 1, to be used with a 0.4 ohm ribbon. And I want to have on the amplifier side 4 ohms. So I use this ratio of 3.16 to 1, sort of. So I end up, what I'm gonna use is 10 wires on the secondary that's gonna connect to the ribbon, and 32 on the primary that will connect to the amplifier, and see what it does. So I don't know if it's only the ratio, or also, you know, 32 wires is of course has more resistance than 10. So I'm not sure how if you can, like, say, let's make this 5 and this 15 or something. I'm not sure if that's possible, or which direction you should go. I think you don't want too much primary and too much secondary, but I think too little, even if you keep the ratio, might not be a good idea either. So I just don't know. So I'm just gonna unwound this. It's gonna be probably longer than I wished for, but gives me some wire as well, so although tedious. So that was the secondary, and now we got far more wires, because the primary has a little bit more wires. Oh no. Look how much material goes in one of those things. So, the tape where they taped their first winding to. So, remove this blade before I cut myself. I'm just gonna get rid of this crap. You will find these for years to come, I think. Like embedded in your skin and such, like here. So yeah, that's weird. I've never... Oh wow, huh. Look at this. It's a piece of transformer iron wound up. It's really thin too, so that's quite a nice core for... It's really thin. Wow. This is nice material for electrostatic tweeter cores. So I didn't know it had this casing. Is that really needed? Yeah, probably because it's steel. I thought it was not a steel core, but just, yeah, maybe ferrite. Usually I see these cores that are not like steel. So maybe for this, it's not ideal, but normally people are glad that it's a core like this. But then again, my knowledge about transformers is not so great. I'm gonna add a tape over the whole length. So that's one core. Then I need 32 windings. And now someone said you don't want to have the secondary over the primary. Or, did he say that? Yeah. So that would make me believe to start with the secondary, but that's not cool because that's the one I want to tinker with, maybe. So I'm gonna do it the other way around, and hopefully I can wind the secondary in between, depending on how much space I got. But since I only need 32, yeah, I think there's enough space to do whatever I want. But what kind of wire am I gonna use? Because I'm not sure if the piece I saved is long enough. So I would do like this and just have to pull all this wire through, which is annoying. Yay, we got one turn. Yay! So, wound by hand. Well, I mean, it's not, you know, it's good enough. I think it's rather decent. The wire cut off is exactly long enough, which is cool. Now I need secondary turns, and I've seen a lot of people doing it with copper, like sheet or tape or something. That's one option. I think that's a rather good idea if you only need like 2 turns or something. In this case, I don't have tape that will fit, or I have to cut it down, and I think a wire will do, or maybe a few wires to make it a little bit more beefy. Ja, Cleo. So, I'm gonna add the secondary, and since I don't have any thick winding wire, magnet wire, I will use one with insulation, which is not ideal, as you can imagine, but it will work. Maybe this will do. I think that's some beefy wire, but the only downside is that the insulation is also quite beefy. Am I gonna use... I'm gonna try. It's easy to get rid of this. I'll leave it a bit longer. Might be nice. Yeah. Okay, that makes 10. Here's one lead, here's one lead. Let me make that one shorter because it's way too long. The evil way of stripping a wire. I want to use these for this thick wire because I don't think my automatic stripper is capable of stripping that. It might, but only a few times. So there we have our ugly transformer. I'm not pleased with the thick wire. I mean, thick wire is indeed better, and you want as low as DC resistance as possible in the secondary, but this looks a bit shitty. I mean, it's not like solid on there. So, yeah. I don't think I will ever use a toroid to begin with, but let's measure the impedance with the ribbon connected and without the ribbon connected. See what it does. So it's standing there, it's not connected to the ribbon yet. And I'm gonna use Room EQ Wizard to measure the impedance of the transformer without the ribbon connected. So just curious what we will see. This is what we get. Not so much, I don't know, it doesn't tell me anything. I am wondering what it does with ribbon, so I'll attach the ribbon. So this is the ribbon, and I don't care about polarity, just strip it on here, put it on here, hop hop. We should get adding a little bit of sound as well. It's not much, because it's driven by a headphone thingy. Okay. Very little. And we get the green line. And that means, what does it mean? This is what it means. Still a rising response, is that correct? I don't know, I'm not sure. So it is at, let's say, 400 Hertz, it is 2.3 ohm, which is a bit too little. And it rises up till 6 ohm. So, I mean, might need either more primaries, or I'll just remove one of the secondaries, see what it does. Should give us a little bit higher impedance. Weird, but true. I do think that the coupling is not very nice. So I removed one of the currents. So I got 32 to 9 now. And you can see it increases impedance. So now it's hovering, well, I'm not sure why it is such a rising response. Is that normal? I think it shouldn't be that extreme, I believe. Maybe someone knows. 3 ohmish is at 400 Hertz. Probably just need to put it on the amplifier and see what it does. So yeah, distortion, especially down low. That might be just the transformer itself or the ribbon, I don't know. Let's check it against the other ribbon, the normal one without transformer. Just put the mic in the middle and see which one is louder and performs better. First up, transformer one with a lot of distortion. That's one, and now the version I had before. If it wants to measure. At least it's more decent sounding. What's the verdict? Well, distortion-wise, I know what the verdict is. But yeah. I mean, this was the one with the transformer, and this is without. It's far better in distortion. But SPL, I think it matches up rather. well, oh no. No, red is transformer. And it is slightly more efficient. At least at the top end. Slightly more efficient. Like a few dB actually, but yeah, like a few dB. Now that might be the result of having 4 micron foil instead of having 7 micron foil glue and 1 micron foil backing. That might very well be the reason why. So the response itself doesn't look bad from this thing. That is kind of funny. Distortion wise it's terrible, but I think this is more ribbon related than the transformer. It might be transformer as well, but I mean, the difference is so insane that I think I will go without transformer, because it just isn't. People say, isn't it, well, someone asked, if you use a transformer you can like current drive it more and you should get more output. Well, here you go. No. It's more a problem if your amplifier cannot deliver the current, but at the same time the impedance of my ribbons are not that insane. This is of course a great idea if you want to use thicker foil. I used 12 micron as well, and it is as loud as my method without transformer. It's also nice if you want to make a really tiny ribbon with like big fat neodymiums for a tweeter, then you have to make a transformer. You cannot just use resistors or something. So yeah, it's useful, but not so much for these long ribbons, I think. And I think Jonas got it as well somewhere in the past on DIY audio. I think he made a transformer as well, and he in the end liked the direct drive more. And I think I'll come to the same conclusion, because it has, in this case, far less distortion, but it might as well be the ribbon, because 4 micron is almost impossible to handle. I really have to think of a method to do so if I want to use it. Still want to, but then for a super tweeter thingy, not a big thing like this. Anyhow, so I made at least a transformer that makes it possible to drive a ribbon without frying my amplifier. I mean, the ribbon itself is 0.4 ohms, and now it's usually around 3 up till 6 ohms. Maybe someone that knows more about transformers can tell me if this is normal, why it has this rising response. Maybe it's completely normal, but I never look into that, to be honest. Well, anyhow, back to the drawing board, I guess. See ya!